morning. It is 4:30 on the dot. Don't feel too bad for me because it's daylight savings time, so it feels like 5:30. So I am back narrating this intro, basically starting from the end. So I'll have to see how I'm going to piece it together. But I want to tell you guys sort of the whole story on how to make a little money on the side. Not too creative, but it also doesn't take a lot of effort. So, I'm in my dad's 2014 F-250. Bought this truck new. It's a nice truck. Takes good care of it. Got a 20-foot trailer hooked up to the back. I'm driving almost exactly 1 hour up into Pennsylvania. I'm going to pick up some IBC totes. For those of you who don't know, IBC stands for International Bulk Container. They're those big plastic-looking cubes with a metal cage on them. I can sell those for about $50 a piece. Okay, so on a 20-foot trailer, you stack them double high, 2 across. You can get 20 on them. Each trailer load is worth about $1,000. So, not a bad gig. The real question is, well, that's great and all, but how'd you get started? What happened? So, years and years ago on YouTube, guys started using the IBC cages, meaning they'd pull out the plastic bladder that usually holds a liquid. It always holds a liquid, I guess. And they'd use the cages to store firewood. Now, my dad has at the time, I guess he had a fireplace. We had a wood stove. So I thought, that's a pretty clean way to store firewood. So we gave it a shot. Told him about it. He saw a couple videos. Said, hey, that's a good idea. If you have anything with forks, you have a tractor with forks, you have a skid steer, it is the cleanest, nicest way to move firewood. I think we have about 20 totes full of wood. The 275 gallons, I think, hold right around a third a quart of wood. They also make 275s, which are a lot more common. That's what we're going to get today. I'm sorry, 275s and 330s. The 330s will hold a little bit more, but they're a little bit harder to find. So anyway, I said, hey, Dad, if we should keep an eye out. If we see any IBC totes, we should give that a shot. So he gets a newspaper classified type thing. He saw that they had them for sale for $20 a piece. So that's not too bad. We can go up and get a load of 10, and that'll be, $200. They should last a long time. They're galvanized metal. So we did that. Worked out great. We used those for a season. He wasn't burning as much wood. Then he was like, he moved over to another house. We moved into the house he was in, played a little shuffle. He said, we should get some more of those. So the following year, and this has been, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. So let's go up and get another load. And if we stack them, there's a deer. We've seen a couple of them, little doe. If we stack, if we get 10 on the bottom and stack 5 on top, I can probably sell the 5 and make fuel, make the money back in fuel that we're taking to get up there. So he said, yeah, we can try it. And again, I was buying, and I still buy those occasionally for $20 a pop. At the time, I tried all different pricing. I think I tried anywhere from $40 to $60. At 40, they're gone the next day. All last year, I was selling them for $45 a piece. And now everything's listed at $50. Price of everything went up, right? So for a couple years, run up to this place, get a load of 20 of them, charge tax. I think it's $425 or something by the time you pay tax. Get them back, unload them. The space isn't an issue. We stack them next to a grain bin that's all like gravel or millings anyway, so they're just sitting there. Sell them for $1,000. You're making a little over $500 profit with fuel. Because fuel in this truck, it's 6.7 diesel. It takes some fuel. But anyway, it's a way to make $500. It's really nice to just be able to hand the wife some cash. Like, hey, go get something for you, get something for the kids. Not have to worry about including it in the budget. This is kind of icing money. So last year, was it this year? I guess it was this year at work. My office, there's a big construction company that, and it's in not an industrial complex, but it's in like an office complex. And they have way more parking than they need. So I noticed they started staging IBC totes there. There's actually some right there. There's another business. I actually called them to see if I could buy them. They said, that's a story for another day. I talked to the guy because they have IBC totes sitting right there, 5 minutes from the house. And he's like, oh, you can sell those used for $200. I said, okay, thanks for your time. Sorry to bother you. I'm not buying them. But anyway, at work, they're staging these IBC totes. So it takes me forever to find a company truck with a phone number on it. And I went past it for months, didn't think anything of it. Finally gave them a call. And they transferred me. I got some receptionist who had no idea what an IBC tote was. I explained what I thought they were using them for, yada, yada, yada. Finally get to a guy. I said, hey, this location, you guys have a lot of IBC totes there. He's like, yeah. I said, do you guys have to pay to get those taken away? He said, yeah. And I said, well, if you give me the go-ahead, I can get them out of there for free. And usually what happens, they'll get a tractor trailer that comes in. I think they can usually fit 40, maybe, on a tractor trailer. And they have to pay them to take these totes away. So the guy went back and forth a little bit. He's like, okay, I'll let you know. He called me, and I forget. I want to say there were, the first time I grabbed him, I think there were like 24. It was over 20, because I couldn't do it on a full trailer. Maybe it would. Let's just go with 24. It doesn't matter. And some of them still had material in them, which I was like, hey man, there's a lot in here. It's a lot more weight. But I said, I'll take care of it. I said, okay. Got all those home, got them rinsed out a little bit, sold them all. Usually what happens, people come and buy one or two at a time, which is annoying, but it's money. You sell two of them, it's $100. The costs are already, if you are paying for them, the costs are sunk. So everything on top of that is kind of profit. But people come by one, twos, and then a lot of times somebody will come and say, hey, I'll take 10, I'll take 15. Then you're cleared out. It's amazing. So this contact, I said, hey, save my number. If you guys have any more, let me know. He said, okay. And I noticed they started staging them again a week or two ago. Didn't think anything of it. I didn't want to bother the guy. But he calls me on Thursday. Said, hey, Kyle, we're going to have some more totes there for you in 2 or 3 weeks. Can you take 10 of them? I said, yeah, I'd be happy to. Just let me know. Then I get home Friday. So today is Sunday morning. Get home Friday. I'm working after breakfast, working from home. Guy calls me again. Hey, how's it going? His name's Dan. Hey, Dan, how's it going? Hey, how close are you to X and X, city state? I said, well, it depends why you're asking. And it turns out, once I figured it out, I'm an hour on the dot away from another construction crew. And they are done a job. The tractor trailer was supposed to come pick these things up. They were paying the tractor trailer, but they didn't show up. So he said, well, there's 40 of them there for you, if you can get them out of there. And it was a Friday. I usually try to make my Fridays a lighter day of work. Didn't really want to go in the middle of the day, but I said, okay. So I said, yeah, shoot me the address. So got everything hooked up. I borrowed his truck. My truck will pull this rig. I did it coming back from work. I have that half-ton Ford F-150. It's got the 5.0 V8 in it. So it's no slouch. But when you're pulling this 20-foot trailer and you load it up, it's not like, oh man, it's not the weight, it's the wind resistance. Those IBCs aren't super heavy. I think they're probably over 100 pounds each. They gotta be. But you stack them up and it's a giant brick moving down the highway. So, and when I pulled it with my truck, they had some material left in them, that thing was loaded pretty heavy. I mean, I was going up and down hills, and I think I was in third gear going 55 miles an hour. It's a 6-speed. And it was just whining. So I said, Dad, can I take your truck? Yeah, you can take my truck. So loaded up, got going, went to the complete wrong address, and I'll try to roll in clips as we go. Well, put in the first address that my iPhone picked up. Wrong town. About a half an hour out of my way. So, only thing left to do is keep on trucking. He told me the city. I put it in my phone,
And there was a city that in my mind was pretty close to it. Not spelling, like proximity. I was like, oh, I've heard of that. That's probably right there. It must be called one city, but it's actually the other, zip code, whatever. So I put it in my phone, the street address. It pulled up a different city. I was like, oh, okay. I know that's near there. Not knowing, I don't know much. So I drive an hour there, which is about how long it takes me to get to the place I'm supposed to go. I'm going down these little, city streets, and I get to the address, and it's like, there's nothing there. It's near a graveyard. There's a parking lot. Oh my gosh. So I type in the correct city, same address. The road is actually spelled different. He didn't give me the spelling. He shouldn't have had to. And it's 36 minutes away. So this was right around lunchtime. There was traffic. I don't know why there was traffic on a Friday around lunch, but there was. And it was not a nice city. There was a fox eating a deer. So I put it in, and the place I'm supposed to go is another 36 minutes away. So by this time I've driven, with traffic, it's been over an hour. It is what it is. And now I got to go another 36, which turns out to 45 minutes. So an hour and 45 minutes. Excuse me. Talking too much. I get there. It's in a park and ride. And it's the city itself, or the little town, whatever you want to call it, is not, it's nice, but I was like, it's kind of shady, but. There's somebody sleeping. Got it done. The forklift, so these guys have to leave a forklift there to move them. Same with the tractor trailer. The tractor trailer's not going to bring a forklift to load these things up. So the forklift is there. It's a brand new forklift, nice one. So I get the 20 loaded, get up, get home. Now, I count them. I was like, there's more than 40 here. And there's no way I can get more than 40 on this trailer. You have maybe an inch, if you do it right, of wiggle room on the trailer, the way it works out. So I was like, oh man. I count them up. I think there's at least 50. I know there's at least 50. And you start looking at them all stacked, and you get confused, and you count again. But I was like, okay, well, it's going to take 3 loads. So I get in the truck, put home in the GPS, and I'm like, oh, great. It's actually only a real hour. It's not going to take me an hour and 40 minutes to get back. So called the guy on the way back, said, hey, got the first load. Because I'm just some random guy. I'm not a company that he can contract. And until he knows he can count on me repeatedly, he's like, hey, if you get up there and get the load, let me know, make sure, so we can cancel the tractor trailer. Because he's logistics for this giant company. And there's just some hillbilly in the truck. So, oh, I'll take them for you. So I called him. I said, hey, it looks like there's at least 50 up there. Do you want them all gone? Because that's going to take 3 loads. And he said, yeah, if you can get them all, that'd be good. I said, okay. Now it's 3 hours round trip, which essentially it is. It's an hour up, an hour back, and however long it takes to load and strap them down. And you want to make sure you're strapping them down well, because these things are giant cubes that are super light, respectively, to their overall size. They're pretty light, so you don't just want those things flying out. So it takes a little bit, and you have to move them by hand on the trailer, which, when you're moving them double stacked, it takes a little gumption. Anyway, so it takes me about 3 hours to get there and back. I'm not going to be able to go back today. I'll have to check with the wife and see what we're doing, but I'll try to get them cleaned out this weekend. He said, perfect. Yeah, sooner the better. Let me know. That way I can get the forklift out of there, because I'm sure they're paying per day or per week on that forklift rental. So I hate taking time away from my family. I do. Beyond a normal work week, which with my job, I have to go beyond a normal work week sometimes. So I hate not being with my kids. My son had soccer yesterday morning. So Friday, get a load of 20. Saturday, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just wake up at 5:15, get moving, which I did. Got there, got back in time for soccer. I know the route a little better. It's actually not a bad drive once you know where you're going. So I got 20 of them. And I put the listing up, I guess, Saturday morning, early Saturday. I renewed an old listing, and I'll give you a copy of the listing. I have it dialed. People ask the same questions, so I have like an FAQ in there, like, hey, don't ask me this stuff. No, I'm not going to deliver them to you unless you're going to pay stupid money. Yes, it's still available. It's a good listing. And again, I have it listed at $50. They move pretty well at 50. They move faster at 45. They move slower at 55. These are not food grade, obviously. These ones are not. The other ones that I get, you could use them for livestock water. I would not use them for human water based on what was in them. But tell people that. Just be upfront. Most people use them for the cages. And if they want, they could clean these out and get them pretty close to food grade for animal food or something. I'm rambling here. So I get the ad up, and then I'm like, okay. And my dad helped me unload these. He's so much faster on the skid loader. I can do it. He can just do it twice as fast. And it's not hard. You just pick them off and set them. I have the trailer backed in right next to the stack. So I have the listing up, and I know I'm going to have to go this morning, Sunday morning. I take my kids to breakfast every Sunday morning, also every Friday morning. It's written in my business plan. Love spending time with my family. It's important to me. I'm not going to have that time for too long, so taking them to breakfast every Sunday. Today's going to be pushing it, but I'll do my best. So, like, okay, working the time. If I leave at X time, get there at this time loading. Anything goes wrong, when will I get back? 10 o'clock last night, somebody messages me on Facebook. Lady messaged me, hey, how many of these do you have? Do you have at least 4? I said, yeah, I got about 40. I got plenty. And she said, oh, that's great. She's very, very nice. They live about 25 minutes away. She says, hey, I know in the ad you said you didn't want to deliver, but we're in such and such. Would you consider it? We went back and forth for a little bit. She's like, oh, I just use them for the cages. I just want to use them for firewood. Can we buy them without the cages or without the bladders? I said, no, because then I have to cut up the bladders and take them to the dump, and it's a pain. It's not a big deal, but I've done dozens of them. I don't want to do it for you for free. So she's like, okay, back to delivery. We deliver. And I looked it up, and again, this is time. And I told her, I said, look, it's not just fuel. It's time away from my family, and it's my time. I mean, what is your time worth? It depends. It's a waste of my time, and I don't feel like dealing with people. If I can sell them by the trailer load from my house, or have to load them up, drive somewhere, help unload them, drive back for the same money, which are you going to pick? So I was like, look, she said she wants 10 of them. I said, look, 10 of them is $500, $50 a piece. To drive where you want me to drive to your house, provided you have something to help pull them off, I'm not doing it for under $150. That's $650 for 10, which I knew was high. It was intentionally high. When you're doing something you don't want to do for money, you should raise the price high enough where if they accept it, you're like, man, okay, it's worth it. And I figured $150. If I got $150, that would pay for fuel for this whole scheme, right? So I filled up my dad's truck Friday night after we had it unloaded. That was $87. I'll fill it up again after I get this load back, which I don't think it's going to be more than $100. It can't be more than $100 based on where diesel fuel is currently at. But total fuel is going to be well under $200. Might be $160. Anyway, if I could have charged $150 delivery fee, it would have covered most of fuel, and the rest would have been profit. So she's like, oh, we'll think about it. Maybe we'll just come there. What does your availability look like tomorrow? And I was like, yes, okay, I don't have to drive there. I said, well, funny you ask. I'm getting up at 4:30 to go get another dozen of them, clean out the place I'm getting them. Hoping to be home, take my kids to breakfast, same story I just told you. So hopefully it'll be around from, maybe 9:30, most of the rest of the day. My wife might have something fun planned, but I think we're going to be around. So in the back of my mind, I was like, and she said it. She's like, well, if you came straight from where you're getting them to our house, that would save you loading and unloading. Would you lower the delivery fee? And I would take all 12, not just the 10. I thought about it. I'm doing the math. I said, okay, so 12 would be $600. Let's lower the delivery to $100 because it's exactly 1 hour to her house as well from where I'm coming from. So I'll get up there, hour, load up, hopefully half hour, drive to her house, hour, then drive home 25 minutes. So what it's doing is adding 25 minutes to my total commute time. So I said, I'll do it for $700, 12 of them for $700. So there's a $100 delivery profit margin fee, whatever you want to call it in there, on top of the 12 totes. And I don't have to unload them when I get home and reload them in somebody's truck or trailer. So she said, yeah, it sounds good. So that's how easy it is, right? And now you get into, well, where do I get them? You know, that's when I first started. Well, where do I get them? There's other videos that'll tell you better suppliers. I'm not going to, because I have pretty good, you know, I can find them when I need them, usually. Another thing, so it's happened once. When I had the ad up, some guy messaged me. He was like, hey, I got a bunch of these things. You can, and we negotiated, and I was like, well, I'm paying these guys X dollars, and you're farther away, so I pay you Y dollars. And I worked in 55-gallon plastic barrels for free if I paid him $10 a piece. He was farther, and his were in worse condition. He was a smaller shop. They've been sitting out for a couple years. Still sold them. I mean, so people came to me to get them, just like this other contractor that I'm working with. But if you're like, well, that's not going to happen. One, be observant. If you see a stack of them, the place I drove by in the beginning of this video was a lubricants. They sell heating oil, motor oil, and I saw them sitting out there. So I wrote down their number. It was a weekend. I called them and said, hey, saw these sitting there, and it was a bust. I actually videoed that call. That's when I first started the YouTube channel. I said, oh, this would be cool if the guy agrees. And I deleted it because he's like, oh yeah, you can sell them for $200 used. No, you can't. Be observant. If you see them sitting out there, call. Be very respectful. Say, hey, you notice you're solving a problem, right? I notice you have these sitting out there. I know a lot of times companies will charge to come get them. Wondering if I could take them off your hands. And I wouldn't offer to pay up front. If they ask, or if they say, oh, we usually sell them, okay. If they sell them for $20 a pop, it's probably worth it. If they're selling them for 40, you can sell them for 50, it's probably not worth it. But be observant. And then look at, you know, the problem is a lot of the people selling them on Facebook Marketplace, which is where I list them. I don't use Craigslist anymore. Facebook Marketplace is just easy. Maybe if something doesn't move for a while, I put it back on Craigslist, but I have better luck, a little less scams with Facebook Marketplace. You can look for them there. And maybe, you know, depending on your market, if you find a guy like me that's selling them for $50 a pop, in the right place, you could probably sell them for $75. There's your $25 profit margin if you can get a trailer big enough to make it worth it. But look in classified ads. Look at companies. Google what companies use IBC totes, and figure out what kind of industry you want to look at. And what you should be saying is, why don't you just tell us? Because I don't want to. I don't have enough subscribers to give you free information yet. I'm giving you a good idea. You take it and run with it. I'm not going to hold your hand. But it works. You put a good ad out there. You're on time. You're respectful to both parties. Your buyer, or in this case, your freer. I'm not buying anything. And your seller. Just be a decent person. Just be creative. Be polite. Be respectful. It's not rocket science, guys. And with this load, what I'm hoping to do is get 52 total, I believe. So that's, well, 50 is what, $2,500? And two, 2,600, 2,700 with this extra $100 delivery fee. So I'm doing it in about a weekend. You'll have the people that come and buy one or two, some hillbillies that who knows what they're doing with them. You'll have the people that'll come get a trailer load of 10. You'll have the people that'll get 20. And people, oh, can you get more of these? And sometimes I can't. This year, I have not bought any. I haven't had the time. This opportunity fell in my lap, and it's too good to pass up. So that's why I'm doing it. But the place that I started out buying, and I've gotten a lot from them. I haven't gotten any this year. If I get bored, the winter things slow down. My dad's like, hey, you want to run up there? I might go get another trailer load of 20. But these free ones, I'm not going to pass up. It's good Christmas money, guys. Christmas is coming up. Wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit of extra cash just by hustling, getting up? Again, the reason I'm up so early, I don't want this to come into my family time. If I can make money during a time when I'd normally be sleeping, which is what I'm doing, it's a win. Low effort, high reward. Just an idea for you. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry I've been slow posting videos, been pretty busy, but I appreciate you being here. Appreciate the like, and I'll see you soon.